let's start with, we got two clips of culture warriors.
I don't think we'll be able to get to both of them because one of them is 6 minutes. I think we should let...
Okay, maybe we can read some.
Oh, that one is 6 minutes?
I mean, I think we should... We could just play like half of it, but I mean, it's one that you need to kind of see the full...
Arc,
because it starts with the Bolsonaro interview.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about that one.
Oh.
I'm talking about Oklahoma Governor Stitt, and then the one I just asked for. This is the thing, is that, like, when someone complains about identity politics, understand what they're complaining about. They're complaining about politics that are in any way pivoting off of identities that haven't dominated our politics. So when someone's complaining about identity politics, look back and see if they've ever complained about white identity politics, which incidentally is foundational in this country. We started off with white identity politics. And I think there's a very good argument that we've had white identity politics until just before and through my saying those words 3 seconds ago. Here is Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt. And apparently, the governor of this state has been aware of a violation somewhere in the school system of the anti-CRT statute that they passed. Yes.
Sounds serious.
Things must be going very good in Oklahoma for the governor to be able to take time for this.
I'm also concerned that TPS may have violated state law, specifically House Bill 1775.
That's Tulsa Public Schools TPS.
I'm also concerned that TPS may have violated state law, specifically House Bill 1775, which bans public schools from teaching critical race theory. Specifically, the bill prohibits teaching that one race or sex is inherently superior to another race or sex. I firmly believe that not 1 cent of taxpayer money should be used to define and divide young Oklahomans by their race or sex. Let's teach students, not indoctrinate them.
This is just amazing.
Is there anything in Tulsa with regards to race that maybe needs to be dealt with very sensitively and frankly?
I don't know what you could possibly mean. No way. No way. I am sure there's not a state dollar that goes to divide people in that state.
That was about one complaint.
This is, I mean, look, this is what the right does. They wage a culture war by saying other people waging a culture war. This is the exact same thing. This is the functional equivalent of people saying, like, don't create a class war. Dude, that class war is already existing. So we just gave you one example of a culture warrior who is the governor of Oklahoma, who heard of a potential violation in the Tulsa schools of somebody teaching CRT.
So the sirens went off throughout the whole state,
Yes.
State of emergency.
Now you understand that the way that the right frames this whole thing is these people are creating identity politics. Because from their perspective, white identity politics, that's just normal. That's just baseline. That's you can't, there's
populism.
no such,
It's America.
there's no such thing as white identity politics in the conservative mind because it's just normal. And so when any other group asserts their identity within their politics, that's identity politics. The rest is normal. It's like, and like I say, it's like when you hear, I don't know, some New York Times columnist saying, like, don't start a class war. No, it's existing.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a class war. Or when they say don't redistribute money, it's already being redistributed. It's just we're just arguing which direction it's going. It's the same thing in terms of gay rights, trans rights, women's rights, black people, brown people,
Indigenous.
I mean, it doesn't matter
Right.
what, any marginalized group in society. And it's always, we hear this. The reason why I'm racist is because of what those people are doing. It's caused me to react.
It pushed me.
I heard this from Christy Todd Woodman, that the reason why conservatives couldn't take climate change seriously is because the libs are so in your face with it.
Yeah, hit them. Look what you made me do.
It's the
Look
same
what
thing,
you made me do.
All the reason why people wouldn't take the vaccine, because COVID was just in our faces. Well, here is another culture warrior who also pretends that they're not a culture warrior.
It seems like there's a backlash happening, right? Because people feel like this. Stop pushing your beliefs on me. This person screaming at someone with a Bible, right? Do you see they have the pride of this and that? So do you see there doesn't seem to be a two-way street?
Now,
That's in reference to the Bette Midler, there's a war on women because we're being trans accepting sort of conversation.
and so he's and the idea is that there is, between that guy represented with the Bible and
Just nice Bible guy who's just simply trying to hand out a Bible.
So
And-
unassuming.
Free, probably.
and this person who represents pride. I don't know if exactly what, but
Nice touch to
LGBTQ.
put a 5 o'clock shadow on that person,
Okay.
on that cartoon. It's bigoted.
Of course. But the Christian guy just looks so hurt. But
just wanna
let's
help him
look
go
at
to Jesus.
instead of let's looking at this cartoon and looking at the representation, the aesthetics of this. Where is Christian culture versus LGBTQ culture in terms of defining culture and instructing what other people need to do? On one hand, you have LGBTQ culture saying, please don't use my name and my identity. That I'm not trying to pull a fast one on you. This is not, but please don't use that because it's offensive to me, because that's not who I am anymore. In the same way that maybe somebody would say oh, would you mind not using my maiden name, or would you not mind not using my
I don't go by
my
James.
name?
I go by Jim.
Or I know I have had friends who they go by their middle name after college or whatever it is. Versus, and that's the imposition, right? That's the imposition. Or maybe there's a trans girl athlete in the high school, the entire state's high school sports league. That's the imposition on one hand. Versus, you don't have reproductive rights in this country. You don't have access to birth control pills if we decide not to give them to you because of our religion. You can't buy liquor on Sundays in certain states.
If you accept your trans child, you're going to be under investigation by the state.
Happening right now in Texas.
We don't want you to have the ability to have marriage. We want to police what sexual acts that you can do, depending on who it is that you want to do it with. In fact, much of the miscegenation laws were also based on Christian fundamentalism.
If you're a doctor that performs trans-affirming care, you're a criminal.
If you're a doctor who performs the evacuation of an ectopic pregnancy, you're a criminal. I mean, let's talk about what's actually behind those cartoon pictures.
But the cartoons are easier.
There's a backlash. There's a backlash because people who have been, slavery. Slavery, also a function of Christian fundamentalist teaching. Not anymore, but that's what founded this country.
Mark of Cain.
And the idea that people saying, don't use my dead name, is equivalent in terms of oppression on relative to what religion has done in our society is, I don't even know what the word is. It's bullshit. Anybody who's pushing that is pushing that ideology on other people. Period. End of story.
And anybody pushing that is not interested in actually challenging power, because they're deliberately conflating a cultural shift and an uncomfortability that certain people have with it, which feels like an imposition if you are in a privileged position in this country, with laws, with Supreme Court priests deciding what I cannot do, what I can do with my body and what I cannot do with my body, and other women, particularly in red states in this country, saying who and who cannot get married. Laws are not the same as cultural shifts, and when you blur that line, that is a funnel into the reactionary right wing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Manifest destiny too, for that matter. I mean, a lot of imperialism is tied up in a religious fundamentalism that otherizes other people. And when those other people stand back, I mean, this is actually the same argument of like, they made us invade Ukraine.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, it's impressive, but don't be fooled by those people saying they're not doing identity politics. Here's the dirty truth. Everybody does identity politics. Everybody. The question is, which identity are they trying to balance out inequalities between groups of people or not? And I'm not saying identity politics like I'm going to vote for a woman just because she's a woman. If that was the case, I would have supported Sarah Palin. But the idea that it's justified for people with the backlash. I understand why people do it, but it doesn't justify it. I understand why, as a white guy, when I watch TV and I'm no longer centered in everything I see, I could be like, hey, what happened? This sucks. I want to be the guy in the Cialis commercial. I want to be the guy whose wife is going out and cleaning, my collars because they got ring around the collar. And now it's like some black dude, or worse yet, it's some black dude doing the collar for his wife. Like what? Or some black dude doing the collar for his husband. That's not me. But that doesn't justify it. That doesn't justify me, I mean, give me a break.
Also, shout out to the Vanguard boys who often criticize us, and also Jimmy who flagged that clip. So I think we'll probably respond to criticism a little bit better than Jimmy does.
Yeah, I mean, I welcome it.
He got mad at them for having Ryan Grimm on. It was very funny.
He did?
Yeah.
Well, I'm mad that they had Ryan Grimm on, too.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah, that's probably why he wasn't available that day.
Yeah, man, he keeps dodging us. When's the last time he's been on this show?
Ryan Grimm, afraid of us.